Our sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening, Brandon Cooks with his career-high 173 receiving yards against the Carolina Panthers. In the Sean Payton, Drew Brees era, who is the only Saint with more receiving yards in a game? I know it. Did you get it? Jimmy Graham, 179 yards against Tampa Bay in 2013. Ricky's smiling. Brian's frowning. That's the way it goes on the panel. All good. Jimmy Graham, who had 6 catches for Seattle in their win over Atlanta. He's back and playing well. Good for him. He's the all-time tight end on our Saints all-time team for 50 years, so good for Jimmy Graham. It is time now for our hot seat segment where we put Brian Alley Walsh on the hot seat with a hot topic of the day. And this was a hot topic as we sat yesterday in the front row of our section of the press box, so I know where this is going with at least one of us. Should the Saints have gone for 2 when they scored to go up 37-30? Real simple. Yes or no, and why? Brian, the floor is yours.
Whew, was it hot? I'm telling you, it was in fuego up in the press box when this happened. All right, let me just set the scene here, all right? They go up 7, 6 minutes and 2 seconds left. Saints are up by 7. They just scored. All right, so the Saints go to the line of scrimmage, presumably to run a 2-point play. Brees surveys the defense, doesn't see what he likes. They call a timeout with approximately 11, 12 seconds on the play clock. They come back and they kick the extra point, and they make it an 8-point game, 38-30, with 6:02 left. The gentleman to my right, your left perhaps, did not like this call and thought they should go for 2. Well, I'm going to respectfully disagree with him, and I'll tell you why here. Is one, analytics say when you've got a 7-point lead with 6 minutes left, the chances of you kicking an extra point, holding that lead, are much greater than going for 2, failing, and then coming back to win the game. If it's a 5-point game, you obviously go for 2. The book says that, no matter what year it is in the NFL. Book says go for 2. When it's 7, go ahead and keep it a 1-possession game. If they do get the 2, it's a 2-possession game. And I know my colleague to my right here says that the way that the Saints were playing defense, okay, it gave you no confidence that they were going to stop Cam Newton in that offense, so they had to put up extra points. All right, I'll agree with that. I will agree with that. And I will say this about Drew and Sean, okay? These guys knew what they were doing. Peyton instructed Brees, go out there, take a look at the defense. We have one play, and if you see the front, the scheme what we want, you run it. If you don't, we're going to kick the extra point. So I say that they did the right thing, and it ended up winning.
All right, Brian, I tell you what I seen on that play was this. They weren't going to never run the play. If they could get them to jump offside, they would have did that. But my whole thing was, why call a timeout? Why use the timeout when you might need it later? What you should have done in that play is take the 5-yard penalty. If you got a kicker can't go 5 yards back from right there and kick the ball, then you know what I mean, he's not a good kicker. He showed you kicked it from 52 yards. So my thing was, you never burn the timeout. That's the only thing that I didn't see what should have happened. Now, kicking the extra point is something you should have did to get the 8-point lead. Now you can't lose the game. You might can tie the game like it went down and got tied. And they made a great 2-point conversion on that. Great throw, great catch. But you never call a timeout right there. You keep the timeout. The timeout can be real crucial down the stretch, and that's the only thing I see was wrong with the play.
Well, I would agree with you on that. I mean, Sean could be questioned for some of his timeout usage in the past, okay? But I'm not going to pick at this one, Ricky. I do think that they were looking for the right front. Had they gotten the right front or the scheme that they wanted, I think they would have gone for it.
But you didn't have to call the timeout. The kicker still, they ain't going to do nothing moving 5 yards.
But remember, now with this offense, okay, Drew Brees has shown time and again that they can move into field goal range without any timeouts, okay? They move the ball such, and again, whereas the Saints are worried about their defense, Carolina's worried about its defense too. They couldn't stop the Saints, so I just think it was kind of a wash. I just think that they made the right decision. Go for 1, take it, extend it to 8 points. The probability of them protecting an 8-point game is great there, and they did the right thing.
Well stated. I'm impressed with you guys because I think you raised the outstanding points that I would certainly make as well. I would have gone for 2, pure and simple. Doesn't mean I'm right, and it doesn't mean that they made the wrong decision. This isn't a right and wrong question by any stretch of the imagination, because if you kick the extra point, you're up 8, the worst you can do is tie, which is what they did. If you go for 2 and you make it, you're going to win the football game, pure and simple. If you miss it, you're still up 7, and you force the hand of the opponent, which means kick the extra point if they score to send it to overtime, or go Jack Del Rio on them and go for 2 and try to win the game. Considering the Saints' defensive posture at that stage of the game, considering who they had playing at cornerback, I would have gone for 2. There was no way they were going to stop Carolina from scoring a touchdown, and they weren't going to stop them from making a 2-point conversion because they knew they could throw at a street free agent and make the 2-point conversion, which of course they did. And it wasn't I told you so. I said it before it happened. Didn't make me right or wrong. Very interesting discussion because there's so many semantics involved here. Sean Payton said after the game that we were going to go for 2 if we got the right look. That's why we went to the line of scrimmage, not to try to draw them offside, but to take a look at what they showed us. And if we got the right look, we had a play that we were sure was going to work. They didn't get the look. Drew Brees was instructed to call timeout, which he did. Ricky correctly asserts that's the timeout that you need later on. And keeping in mind that they had to kick a 52-yard field goal, I think you get the picture. With an extra timeout, you could have had one more play, and 52 becomes, say, 45, and it's a little bit more of a probable scenario. That said, it all came out in the wash. Will Lutz made the field goal. Everybody goes home happy. The old saying is you play to win the game, right? In that situation, given the circumstances, I would have gone for 2, playing to win the game. Jim Morrow would have kicked the extra point. The Sean Payton we know, or at least have known in New Orleans, typically would have gone for 2 there. But I fully understand why he did not. When we return, we'll talk college football as Sports NOLA TV continues on WHNO.